Hi, everyone that's joined us. My name is Patrick Cosgrove, and I'm the Student Recruitment Officer in Mary Immaculate College. And tonight I'm going to be in conversation with Dr. Geraldine Brosnan, who is the Director of Student Life here in the college. And we're going to be talking about student support services in Mary Immaculate College. So I suppose we might just jump straight into it, Geraldine, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
I suppose for maybe some of our listeners, our viewers this evening who aren't that familiar maybe with the college and what's available in terms of student support services, would you like to maybe give a little overview maybe of your own role and maybe generally of the student support services that are available in the college?
Yeah. Thanks, Pat. Thanks a million for inviting me along this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, my name is Geraldine and I work as Director of Student Life in the college. And my role essentially is trying to bring operational cohesion and provide strategic direction to the broad area of student life in Mary Immaculate College. So sounds like a mouthful.
Yeah. Sounds very complicated, Geraldine.
But it's a nice job, Pat.
Okay, good.
I get to deal a lot with students. I work closely with our students' union. I work with staff. I sit in a lot of the management committees. So it's yeah. So that's sort of that. But we have a wide range of support services. So I will maybe sort of give a list really for people who don't know. All third level colleges have support services. The reason really is students come to college, life is often not very smooth. Sometimes it is, and sometimes people benefit from accessing additional supports outside of what is already provided through the traditional faculty structures. So I'll do this in sort of alphabetical order because it keeps
whatever's in the list, yeah.
Stops me from forgetting. So we have an academic learning centre, we have an access office, there is an accommodation office, there is a careers service, will start this September. Our careers function used to be under our placement office. It has now gone out on its own because the college recognises that there is a need for a greater I suppose, greater support in the area of careers and career planning. We have a chaplaincy service. We have a counselling service. We have a healthy campus service. We are founding members really of the health promoting college, and healthy campus has followed on from that. So we try and promote a healthy environment for staff and for our students, obviously. We have a medical centre. We have a Shomer Cadrev for people who practice their Gaeilge. And unique in Ireland, we have a student parent support service. And in addition, there is a sports function also in the college, which is staffed by a sports officer. So that's a broad sort of list of what we have.
No, that's great, Geraldine. We might delve into maybe some of them in a bit more detail over the next while. I suppose Mary Immaculate College is probably very well known for its high retention rate. I think the last HEA report put it at 94%. So I suppose obviously helping students make that transition from secondary school to third level is hugely important at the moment, and it's probably something the college has put an awful lot of focus into. Would you like to maybe just develop that point a little bit more about how we're helping students, particularly in the current year that we're in, make that transition from secondary school to third level as seamlessly as possible?
Yeah, absolutely, Pat. Yeah, I suppose we would pride ourselves on providing a very supportive environment for students. We are a small college. We offer programs in the humanities and education, and with our two campuses, across our two campuses. So it's, I suppose there has always been a focus on the personal and well-being, and that very much sort of a holistic sense of what higher education should be about. And this year, we're acutely conscious really that many of our first year students, our incoming first year students, have already been through quite a traumatic period. It has been challenging for them with the early closure of the schools and of course the the alternative leaving cert with calculated grades, and and I'm sure that was a blessing for some, and others were not so happy about it, etc. But I won't go into the politics of that. Nonetheless, it is, I suppose, what I'd like to reassure people really who are tuning in is we're really very much aware of the whole transition piece. It is, I suppose, it's not only just a move from second level to third level, but it represents a move from a move into adulthood for people. And you're moving into a different type of phase in your life. And third level learning is different to the type of learning that people do in secondary school. And we really do try and make that explicit and help people along that journey. Our aim really has always been to bring students in and to see them through, and we will do our best within that to support that sort of vision. I suppose students, as we know, have had a challenging time, and I suppose the other thing people need to remember is we've been planning for the last number of weeks about what September will look like and how we're going to engage with our students, both in the lecture theatre, in tutorial rooms, but also on that sort of personal basis. And it's important that students, I suppose, get that sense of that we care, we're here for them, and no question is a question too small, really. Everything can be dealt with. We can't solve everything as much as we'd like to, but we can help you through your the education part of your life, and that's what we would aim to do. So we have been planning over the last few weeks for what September might look like and how we are going to try and engage students and work with students so that students feel supported and know that they can contact us in the event that people are at times working from home, to know that there is somebody at the other end of a computer and that you will be replied to. And I think that's really important, and that's sort of a key message I'd like to get out today is you just need to let us know. We're there, you know, we're here, we want to help. So I think that's very important. And really, you know, no question is ever, I've always found that if somebody asks a question in a classroom, it turns out that like 5 people wanted to ask the same question, you know, so it's commonality to the experience. Although the experience for students who come into college is always unique, there is a degree of commonality. And we do our best to ensure that students, I would hope, feel that they are supported, and we do care, otherwise we wouldn't be doing this work for as long as we are.
Yeah, I think it's great to know that there's such a strong, I suppose, infrastructure there for student support services in the background. I suppose maybe for some people who are listening this evening, you know, they might be thinking possibly what happens if I kind of run into difficulties maybe with my course. Let's say if I'm doing primary teaching and maybe I'm finding the Irish difficult, or maybe subjects like maths or something, maybe in the arts degree. I know you mentioned the Academic Learning Centre. Do you want to just elaborate maybe on some of the supports that are available to students that might be struggling a bit with academically, maybe coming from secondary school?
Yeah, absolutely. Very few students, I suppose, are the perfect learner. You know, everybody has strengths and everybody has their weaknesses. The Academic Learning Centre, really, our mission is all about enhancing your learning and trying to achieve your potential. So we offer a range of academic support. I think we're possibly the only college in Ireland where all our students who come in get some induction into what academic writing is like at third level. It's quite different to what level. And it's a skill that with practice can be learned. It's like anything. Once you get the knack of it, then it's like riding a bike. Have it.
Exactly, yeah.
So we teach it on all our undergraduate degree programs and in fact on many of our postgraduate programs as well. In addition, the Academic Learning Centre offers one-to-one academic support to any student who feels they might need it. So typically, you might have a first-year student who has got an essay title or 4 or 5 essay titles, is looking at them going, oh no, which one will I pick? Which is the easiest? how will I approach this? I can't start writing, or I've written a paragraph, but I don't know if it's good or bad or indifferent. I don't know, is my referencing correct? How do I reference? Have I made a mistake here? And that's what the Academic Learning Centre is for. It's all of those types of questions. And we work really on a one-to-one sort of small group tutorial basis, and where it's all about trying to help create more independent learners, and facilitate students really to graduate with the best degree they can graduate with, and to raise academic standards among our students. So, and it's really about that idea of excellence in learning, and trying to promote it. Now, in addition, we provide additional ICT classes, so for people who are struggling using computers.
Yeah.
Some people are digital natives, others aren't. We provide support classes for maths via the Maths Support Unit, which is housed under the Academic Learning Centre. We run quite a range of Irish classes for students taking the B.Ed programme, and also for students taking the B.A. programme.
Yeah.
Academic Irish is quite different really to some of the Irish encountered, and very often, again, it's something that can be very targeted, and students often move on from it very quickly. But I suppose that's the key message, is to sort of reassure people that support is available. There have been different years then where you would, for example, students could be doing a final year project. We call them undergraduate dissertations.
Yeah.
And they might say, look, I'm really struggling with an aspect of it. Is there anybody who could come in maybe and give a little workshop to a smaller group of us?
Yeah.
And we do our best to be responsive really to students' needs. Often people they'll communicate that to our Students' Union, who'd be a really key advocacy group for our students, obviously. And the Students' Union then will contact us and say, look, they're been requested for anything you can do. And we're always very happy to do that. So it's, I suppose the strength of the unit is that we would see it very much based around the idea of partnership and working together in dialogue.
Okay.
If we all talk to each other, we can work something out. So it's very much that type of idea. With a great staff, a really hugely committed, highly experienced staff.
Okay.
I'm loath to say it, but I think we have the only PhD in academic writing comes from within the unit. I could be wrong now, but
Well, I think that's great to hear, Geraldine. And I think that would allay a lot of fears that maybe some secondary school students who are maybe listening tonight would have about making that transition to third level. And the fact there's not only academic support, but there's ICT support there as well, I think is a fantastic option to have if you do need a little bit of help. I suppose some of the things you mentioned earlier as well, I suppose we have a very active access and disability office in the college. Geraldine, so maybe for students that maybe have a disability, obviously Mary Beckett College is part of the HERE scheme for student leavers from socioeconomically disadvantaged backgrounds, and the DARE scheme, which is students with disabilities. Would you like to maybe elaborate a little bit more on those schemes and maybe the role of the access and disability office in general?
Yeah, totally. Just to come back to one thing before I move forward to the access office. Just, I suppose, to give people a sense of how many students use the Academic Learning Centre. I haven't got the figures for this year yet compiled, but certainly last year we dealt with 2,488 students. So given that it's just 5,000, it gives you an idea of the volume of traffic. So, so it's a service that's really dynamic and active and used. Moving on to the Access Office, yes, we are part of the HERE and DARE entry schemes, which are operated by the CAO. We also have a QQI entry scheme as well, and various access courses feed in. The service really there, I suppose if anybody's applying in particular through the DARE route, I would always encourage them to make contact with our Access Disability Officer. Her name is Maura Moore, but it's up on our website. And just to familiarise oneself with the college and link in case there are any particular requirements that you might have to support your learning. The Access Officer has a pre-entry piece. There is a daily drop-in support available. The Access Office runs needs assessments to make sure that students, reasonable accommodations are all provided for students. They make specific examination arrangements if necessary. They organise technology and technological aids, and they administer some of the financial schemes that are available to students. So, for example, there is the SAF scheme, which is the Student Assistantship Scheme. It's European funding that comes to each European country and then is divided out. The Access Office then also organises an Access student library, so students can source material as well there, and there is some resourcing also available.
Okay, I know you just mentioned there, Geraldine, the Student Assistant Fund, and I suppose maybe just for students that do run into financial difficulties for whatever reason, do you want to just say a few more words about what is actually available in that area?
Yeah. There are a number of schemes available. They'll never fully fund the cost of your degree program, although I'd love to say that they do, but reality is they don't. Everybody would be familiar with Susie. It's open at the moment for applications, and I would encourage people to, they're anticipating there will be a lot of demand this year for Susie, so I would encourage people to get their application in as early as they can. Internally then we have some funds that are available. The biggest one probably is the Student Assistantship Fund. It comes from Europe and comes to the Irish government, and the Irish government then pass it over to the colleges, who all get a share of it. We have 2 rounds of the Student Assistantship Fund every year, one in the first semester and one in the second semester. What is distributed in the first semester tends to be the bulk of the money, because it's acknowledged that the first semester tends to be the more expensive of the 2 semesters. And students then complete an online application form, and all the details go out and are made public to students well in advance of submitting the form. And then they're asked to supply some financial details, and then decisions are made about how, by a committee, how the funds will be distributed. So typically students will get finance for, I suppose, materials, resources, travel, maybe some subsistence costs, in other words, things like utilities, food, a contribution towards their rent. You'll never get all your rent, but
No. Yeah, well, that sounds like a fantastic safety net almost, in a way, Geraldine, to have maybe for some students, for whatever reason, do run into maybe financial difficulties through no fault of their own. I suppose bringing on that, sorry, Geraldine.
I'll come back on that. The Students' Union also have a student hardship fund available. We'll just say, for example, you needed urgent dental treatment that wasn't in your budget.
Okay.
You could apply, or your mobile phone was stolen and you need to replace it, or, so it will provide you with a degree of cash that will allow you really more on a once-off. It's not designed to be an ongoing source of finance for people, but it certainly is a hardship fund if you're struggling. In it, we have the 1916 bursaries. These are administered by the Department of Education and Science through the PATH, which is known as the Programme for Access to Third Level. And we have 6 1916 bursaries available to students, and all those details just went up on the website about 2 weeks ago, I think. So it's live, or applications there as well.
Okay, that's great to know that there's even other options available. I suppose obviously nowadays we're very conscious of, I suppose, students' well-being, and maybe for students who are maybe struggling with their physical or mental health, or they're just maybe have a lot maybe going on in their personal or family life, Geraldine, what kind of supports do we have available in the college to kind of cater for students that are maybe struggling in those areas?
Yeah. We have quite a number of supports here, Pat. I suppose I'd start first of all with our chaplaincy. We have a very dynamic chaplaincy team. Our chaplain is very keen to point out that that the chaplaincy provide for people of all faiths and no faith.
Exactly,
so,
great, yeah.
In that ethos, there is a lovely sort of a common room available where people can go in, make a cup of tea. It is staffed by 2 of our own students who are doing a co-op year. and people can go in and have a chat, and the chaplains drop in and out. And that's sort of a nice place to go if you're struggling in general, just maybe finding it, you could be the only student from your school in the college, and you might find it challenging to make friends. And by going in and out of there, I think it gives you a really good chance to get to know people, because it's a smaller, more intimate setting, and people just check in, and there's usually good fun there. It's nice and dynamic. So that's sort of one place to say. Secondly, then we have a counselling team, wonderful, lovely, warm, friendly, welcoming counsellors, and students go there for all forms of personal matters. It could be academic issues, they could be personal issues, it could be bereavement, trauma, bullying, self-esteem, anything, the spectrum really. And they're a really good team. We have a medical centre as well, and our nurses are very nice, kind people, and fulfil a pastoral function as well within the college. That somebody might, with a cold, and then might start talking about things aren't going well in their accommodation or at home, or and we have the certainly the Healthy Campus office, which is another place people can drop in and out of. And then our student parent facility, really for students who are also parents. And that you could be a mature student, or again, you could be a younger student who has children. And again, that brings its own challenges and joys, as it goes. And but it can be hard to balance everything when you're studying and you have children, and certainly in the COVID situation, it was obviously challenging for students who were trying to study and get assessments completed, and then they might have been have had to homeschool their children and all that. So we have a really good, great student counsellor, who our student parent coordinator, who provides great support really to students who are, I suppose, student parents, and it's just someplace to go for a chat and delve further if you need to. And her name is Nicola, and she can also refer students then over to other agencies. So, for example, somebody might have an issue with childcare, and she might be able to, give them a point in the right direction. So that's sort of sort of a brief overview of all the different functions.
No, that's great, Geraldine. It's great to know that there's so many different supports available for people who maybe run into difficulties through no fault of their own. There are services there to help them. I suppose maybe final question of the evening. I suppose for someone who's coming into first year this year, I suppose what kind of advice would you give to a student who's about to go to college for a first time and maybe starting a course in Mary Immaculate in the coming months?
Yeah, I suppose we look forward to expecting in and around 1,000 students, probably over that, across our two campuses, and we will have an orientation. We always do every year, and that's one of the jobs I organise and look forward to doing every year. I think it's important, I think that people listening would know that we're aware that this transition maybe may or may not be a little bit more challenging than others might have been. And we are currently working on devising a plan to ensure that people feel welcome on campus and get to know other students. And if there's online learning involved, that they will be supported in that process of acquiring the skills and getting to know our systems. I tell students to reach out, be friendly. Remember, everybody's in the exact same situation as you are. 99% of the people who you're encountering, it's their first time in college too. Everybody has the same, I suppose, everybody shares the same fears and are looking forward to the same types of things and are excited and probably anxious and wondering how they'll get on. Will they make friends? That's key thing really for students who come directly from the Leaving Cert is that whole friendship piece. And I would tell people to be friendly, reach out. You will find the college a welcoming place. It is. I'd like to think that we're welcoming in person and also in an online environment. Any issue at all, just let us know. Our website, we're in the process of updating it and making sure that all the contact information is accurate. Very happy to get emails at any stage from students. We'll be back to people very promptly about pointing them in what direction they can go in to find whatever support it is that they need at a particular time. But I suppose be gentle, enjoy it. The first few weeks are all that, excuse me, that initial settling down, getting used to the place and getting used to your lectures. And if you can remember back to what maybe first year in secondary school was like and how excited you were and maybe how worried you were as well at the same time. And I think those two sort of emotions go side by side. And it's something that students navigate very successfully every year. And you will find that I suppose that sense of community. We pride ourselves in being a community. In many, that staff care about staff care about students, students care about students, and you will find that your teaching staff are very approachable, very helpful, very friendly. The faculty offices, the offices of student academic administration, the president's office, the fees office, the finance office, they're all very helpful and welcoming. And key, of course, is the Students' Union, and they're a really good group to contact in the first instance if you're unsure of about anything. My own contact details, Pat, are up on the web under Director of Student Life, and I'll be updating that website as our plans become clearer, which they will do in the distant future, for start dates, orientation dates, and all those types of details. But I would encourage students to jump in, enjoy it. You'll have a great time. You'll learn a lot, and you'll make wonderful friends. And and we look forward to meeting so many of you in September.
Yeah, thanks, Geraldine. I think you've given some brilliant advice there. And I think overall you've given a very clear and comprehensive picture of the student support services that are available currently in Mary Immaculate College. So I'd just like to thank Geraldine again for making yourself available this evening and giving such a great overview of the student support services available in the college. The next session in our series will be next Tuesday, that's the 23rd of June at 7 p.m. again, where I'll be in conversation with Dr. Leisha O'Sullivan on the BA in Early Childhood Care and Education. So if that's an area you're interested in and you want to find out more, do tune in again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. So thanks again to Geraldine for giving up her time this evening. I hope you'll all join me again next Tuesday. Until then, have a good weekend and we'll hopefully see you next week again. Thanks very much again, Geraldine.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks a million.